from, and I just want to welcome everybody and make you aware that we will be recording today's presentation, and it gets posted to our YouTube channel for, if you want to view it later or if you need to share it with any of your other coworkers. Let's see. Also, please feel free to put your questions in the chat. Kim Crawford is here also with Advantage Kentucky Alliance, and she's going to monitor the chat today. And then she will present your questions, and then you'll have an opportunity to also present questions at the end. I just want to give you a little brief introduction to Advantage Kentucky Alliance for those who are not familiar. We are part of the National Manufacturing Extension Partnership, or MEP network. Our goal is to retain and grow manufacturing in Kentucky by providing resources and trainings to manufacturers within our state. We focus on helping Kentucky manufacturers access resources to succeed from bottom line operations all the way to top line growth. Our consultations actually come at no cost to you. So if you're interested in meeting with somebody, just send your information to Kim in the chat and somebody will reach out to you. So Dustin is here as our speaker today. He is with Agave Marketing Solutions. He graduated from the University of Kentucky with a bachelor's degree in linguistics, and then proceeded to earn his master's degree in linguistics with a focus on international and cross-cultural communications. Before founding Agave, Dustin was a senior leader on marketing teams for multiple Fortune 100 and Fortune 500 companies with a focus on international marketing. He started Agave Marketing Solutions in July of 2017, and he has a full partnership with AKA. He works with manufacturers in Kentucky on branding, digital and traditional marketing, and website development. So now I will go ahead and turn it over to Dustin.
Well, thank you, Stacy. I appreciate that. And I hope that everybody is doing well and thawing out across the state. And even if you're out of the state of Kentucky, I hope that you guys are thawing out and things are going well. I'm really excited to talk to you all today and just give you my synopsis of what's going on in the past year with marketing and these successful marketing strategies that could be implemented and should be implemented for 2021. As we kind of go forward, the agenda today is pretty straightforward. I'm going to give you again a little more of an introduction of who I am and who AKA is. We're going to talk a little bit about 2020 as far as how COVID really changed the dynamic of how businesses operate and how business market themselves, in the new space of the digital world. And then we're going to talk about digital marketing in 2021, understanding what digital transformation is. So digital transformation is a term that you'll hear a lot in today's presentation, and it is something to kind of key in on because it will impact small businesses in the future if it hasn't impacted you already. Moving on, we'll then talk about how we adapt to this new digital platform, from new content creation, what that means, to SEO and improving that in your website, and discuss how the small businesses can increase their digital presence and grow their overall business by using some of these new digital tools. And then after that, we'll talk a little about key marketing tasks for 2021, what you can do right now on your own if you have access to all these digital platforms. And then finally, throughout my experience in 2020, and as I've done a lot of reading and attended a lot of webinars myself, I want to tell you kind of 6 things that I have learned that can help you market your business in 2021. Not necessarily just digital, but there's quite a lot that you can actually do now that will help you out. So about me. So Stacy was very kind to introduce me and tell me a bit about my backstory. So I am a former leader of senior global marketing teams for multiple Fortune 500 and 100 companies. Started off in the medical device industry and moved along to SaaS platforms, real estate brokerages. I've worked with professional sports teams, I'm really, as it says there, I'm obsessed with a deep product knowledge and understanding of customer journeys and bridging gap between sales and marketing. I'd like to think that I, as a marketer, am also really good at selling a product. Not like a used car salesman, but I could sell ice to an Eskimo, I think. But I think it's important to know that there's a lot of blending of what happens in sales and marketing. So if you don't have a marketing team yourself and you're a salesperson, you already do a lot of marketing yourself and marketing your business right now, that you can say, hey, I'm also a marketer and a salesperson. As Stacy said, I graduated from the University of Kentucky with my bachelor's and the Indiana University with my master's degree in linguistics, cross-cultural communications, and then went on to lead marketing teams, roughly around $300 to $500 million product lines. Spent a lot of time over in Asia Pacific, working with new products that we developed over there to sell to the different markets. But I also did a lot of stuff here in the US and in Kentucky and around the rest of the states. I think one of the most important things for me is I really believe that you can drive growth and marketing growth and sales growth through cohesive digital and traditional marketing strategies. And what I mean by that is traditional marketing strategies are your print media, your radio advertisements, etc. And that's important because it's not going away. It will never go away. You always have a need for it, but it's the companies that can find a way to blend the two of digital and traditional marketing platforms that will be successful moving forward. So about us, who is Agave? Who is Advantage Kentucky Alliance? Stacy kind of gave you a brief overview. So I founded and current CEO of Agave Marketing Solutions. I am based in Austin, Texas right now, but again, with partnership with Advantage Kentucky Alliance, I do a lot of work in Kentucky. Actually, I do a whole lot of work in Kentucky and there quite often. And then I have new team members who are also in the state of Kentucky as well. What we do as a company is we help companies define their brand. The cornerstone of every marketing is the brand of your company, who you are, what you stand for, and then how you can build strong growth strategies off of that. I think it's important to remember that, we've worked with a wide range of clients, like I said, from high level professional sports teams all the way down to as Stacy mentioned earlier, with some manufacturing in Paducah, Kentucky, in Maysville, Kentucky, and these groups we've worked with, it's the same across the board. Whether you're a Fortune 500 company, or Fortune 100 company, or you're a welding company in Lexington, it doesn't really matter because everybody needs their own strategy. Everybody needs to focus on how they can use digital platforms in order to improve their overall business. And that's what Agave does. We do kind of top to bottom marketing implementation. So from branding to website development, logo and logo design and graphic design as well. And that's what we bring with our partnership with Advantage Kentucky Alliance, who is, again, as Stacy said, the MEP network in Kentucky. The goal of AKA is to help achieve business goals, no matter what, whether it's doing lean manufacturing to all the way to the branding and the financial scorecards that we do, as well as kind of our services. So what we wanted to bring to AKA is high level experience and services that you would get from a large marketing firm in New York or LA or whatever, but we wanted to bring it to Kentucky to help those businesses grow in 2021. Some of the marketing services we offer, and this is definitely not all of the services, because we do offer an extensive variety of services: insights and market research, social media marketing, digital marketing strategies, messaging and branding, all the way to website development. If you've been on the AKA website recently, that is something that we did. We built the whole website ourselves, and it's a custom built website for AKA. So again, something that we can do for you as well. Graphic design and video creation. We have a great graphic design and video team who do a lot of the, well, if you've again been on the website, you've seen all the videos that we do for the small businesses in Kentucky and the manufacturing in Kentucky. And of course, lead generation. That's the one that we're really wanting to focus on this coming year, and how we deliver the platform, the tools, and the services to help you acquire more leads, to help hopefully turn those leads into potentially new customers. So digital marketing in 2021. Seth Godin is a very popular and very well-known marketing guru. And he said the basic principles of digital transformation are that we automate. And when we automate, we're better able to create a personalized experience with our users. Users can also be termed as customers or clients or however you use them. Again, these users are, their digital information is everywhere. And this is going to be one of the things that we talk about throughout today's presentation. I'll take a quick drink for a second here. So 2020, as a as a marketing owner, as a marketing company owner, as somebody who does marketing, 2020 was very difficult for marketing, as it was difficult for everyone. We learned a lot in 2020, and there are a couple key things that happened that really changed how many marketers thought or approached the way that they did business. First of all, they had to respond and adjust to the impact of COVID. By doing that, you basically had to say, okay, how do we change our business completely? How do we market our stuff completely different than what we did before? We also had to reframe the value proposition. And if you notice, a lot of companies either received high praise or got backlash for things they may or may not have said during COVID, insensitivities to what was going on in society, and then those who were changing the way that they conducted their business, that really impacted how that the value of their company was conveyed to the rest of the community. And then we learned a lot about what customers will want moving forward. And we're going to talk about that right now. Something happened to my screen. Did somebody share? Sorry, apologize about that. We click and something changed there. So responding to COVID-19, and last year there was a hard shift in the overall business landscape. And what happened is we saw a change in the consumer buying behaviors. Obviously, people couldn't go in person anymore. If you're a manufacturing company or a small business or local shop where people would walk into your business and to go talk to you, or if you went out into the community, you went out to find customers, you had to change the way that you operated because you couldn't go out and do that. And in certain areas, you had to stay at home. People were probably on the phone a lot more. And what happened is a lot of those consumers that we saw, a lot of those customers, they went all to Google, they went all to Bing or whatever their website, search engines may be that they preferred. And they started buying, from people that they knew or people that were local. It changed the way that we connected with customers. People had to, we're doing Zoom now. We no longer, webinars and stuff that are big meetings in person. Zoom became the going the going line of communication for companies. It happened with customers as well. How do you reach out and find new customers when you can't actually go face to face with them? That was a big impact. We had kind of a market. We had the market crash and the recession that we're still trying to get back into from kind of middle of the year, and that impacted business and how people had to change the way that they operated and change the way that they thought, and that all resulted in some weak productivity. So product sales went down. Overall product development went down because of import-export regulations that got put in place as well. So how did the companies change and adapt? First of all, they maintained or updated website and increased their digital relevance. This was seen throughout the landscape. People were updating anything on their website about COVID-19, what their protocols were, how they were adjusting their business practices, just acknowledging that, hey, we're going through a hard time right now. How can we tell our customers about that? And obviously they ensured local listings. Local listings, we talk about Google and Bing and the other search platforms, those saw a drastic increase in their overall, their overall appearance. People weren't actually, searching over as a national scale. They wanted to buy from local people because they said, well, if they're local, I can get it maybe sooner. I can get it, at a better quality, but I may have to pay more. or maybe not. It was one thing that we really saw, that those local listings really jumped. I think it was like 65% overall improvement in changes to local listings, including open and close times. So people knew if you were open or what your COVID protocols were, they could go to that Google search real quickly and find out. They reframed the brand value proposition. And this is something we'll talk about here in a minute. The value of their company moved from just, hey, we want to sell a product to help people in their business. If you bend steel or you bend any sort of metal, how are you helping out your fellow manufacturer, the people you sell to or the people you do business for? They were trying to find new ways to go out and to help in the community and use their tools. You saw many instances that those who were making spirits in Kentucky, bourbon and whatnot, they started making hand sanitizers because high alcohol percentage. And so they were using those things. They changed the brand value proposition. Who their brand was changed. That was very important to people too. Oh, excuse me. My computer just wants to click multiple times. So, and then obviously that helped them grow and connect with customers on a more personal level. And that's something that was really important. And these kind of 4 areas at the bottom right here were very key into the change that happened in the middle to late of 2020. So when we talk about reframing your value proposition, obviously, the pandemic, the crisis, there was, how do you be top of mind with customers? And that is, were you doing things that were socially impactful? Were you helping out where you could? Were you, helping maintain your own business and maintain your own staff so that, people didn't lose jobs? Those were important things. The important number to know there, 69% of the brands that reevaluated or updated their value propositions were 69% more likely to maintain their existing customer base. What we found is that customers who were loyal to certain brands, if they found that brand to be maybe a little, I would say tone deaf is maybe not the best word, but it's the closest word. If they were tone deaf on what was going on with COVID, you saw a change, and people were openly willing to switch and go find a new brand. Whether or not it meant paying more for product, they would go find a new brand that they would work with and they would buy from. So the questions I have for people to think about is, do you have a value proposition for your company currently? And if so, what is that current value proposition? How are you conveying your brand value to your customers? How are you projecting who you are and who you've been within the community to those who you want to sell to? The next one is, how are you delivering on your value proposition promise? So the promise is, with a brand that you have, how are you going to deliver that brand promise to your customers? Are you conveying it out on digital media platforms? Do you go up and when you're out selling your product individual people one-on-one, are you saying the same things in your brand promise that you've developed that you're saying to them in those meetings? The question is, how well is your brand promise being communicated? Does your customer like it? Do they find it that it connects with them? Or is it something that it's hard to find it and hard to understand what that communication and that brand promise is? And then how can you proactively sell and deliver your services to those who need it the most? There's always, I think what 2020 taught us is we now know that there is a lot of need for people to actually make more community engagements and more involvement in the community with their brands. How can you go and proactively do that? That could result in overall sales, then increase to your company's business as well. So what we've learned that customers want, and there's a lot of data on here, and we're recording this so you can go back and kind of look at it, and I want to touch upon a couple of them. Obviously, people wanted to continue as normal. They wanted everything to continue as normal. That was a big kind of push, obviously, how do we get back to normal? Those that took COVID-19 initiatives that actively participate in efforts to fight the pandemic, 56% of people were drawn to that brand. And these are studies that came from a Gartner research article that came out in December. And so these 56%, they said, we switched brands because we wanted to go to those brands that were actively participating in whatever efforts they could to fight the pandemic. What they wanted to do is they want to address socially responsible messages. In the bottom left there, the 75%. So if you were doing things that were socially responsible, you had a 75%, increase in those customers who were interested in coming to talk and coming to learn about your business. There was obviously a big shift in loyalty change. Those 73% of the people, the population, they went out and tried new brands. I could probably ask a show of hands who tried to find a new brand or who went to a new product that they never had before because maybe the original product wasn't available, or they just said, well, I can't get it now, maybe I can go and try this, who knows, a new type of meat or new type of sausage, or if you think about grocery stores who were impacted. It also happens with bicycles. Bicycles were greatly impacted last year, and pretty much it felt like the entire country ran out of bicycles. Did you find alternative means of transportation? And then, of course, in the bottom right-hand corner is 68% was the shift to digital. The growth of digital business last year and the online presence was probably the most important thing to a customer because, well, just as many are right now, we're still stuck at home and working from home and not able to go out and do things. So that shift is even more important now to these potential customers to make your digital presence felt. So digital transformation. What is digital transformation? Basic principles is automation. Automate, and the way that we automate, the way we do marketing and business can create personalized experience for each one of our users. And that's going to be important as we move forward. So really, what is a digital marketing transformation? What does this transformation look like? If you think about it, it was originally CDs to MP3s to now streaming services. We can go even back from a digital transformation and go from 45s to 8 tracks to tapes to CDs to you can see the digital transformation happening and the excitement. It's open houses. You could no longer do open houses for if you're a real estate agent. You had to invest in interactive 3D models and 3D walkthroughs. And then of course, one of the big ones was buying a car at a dealership pretty much slowed almost to a halt for a while there. And now you're actually buying a car on an app and it's delivered to your home. So these are digital transformations that have been happening and are continuing to happen. And as a business, it's important to know that the digital experience is going to drive everything moving forward. This thing, these digital changes that happened in 2020 are kind of catapulted the overall digital change that's going to be happening in 2021 and beyond. As you can see, I have here, I capitalized it. The digital customer experience is king. And by king, I mean, it is going to rule everything. If people are not adapting to the digital space right now, it is going to slow down your business, and you could probably see a bit of a decline in business if you at least don't make some of the digitalization changes that are needed. The big cog there is digitalization enables automation. And we talk a lot about automation and what that means. It's, personalized messages through different platforms, through email, through just your website. You can have digital aspects of your website that make it easy for somebody to track throughout their entire customer lifecycle. It enables the personalization. So if you know that your customer clicked on a certain thing on your website, say you sell sweaters or you sell different types of garments, if a customer clicked on that, you can track that and then send them an email later as a follow-up. We've all seen it. We've all gone on to Amazon, and 5 minutes later, you're searching something else on a website and you see a little pop-up for something that's very similar to that on your Google search bar. That's marketing automation. That's the personalization. And for a lot, it improves that customer experience. And customer experience is very key to connect with those new and existing customers. Excuse me. So digital marketing in 2021 and what that's going to look like. There was a big report that came out. Again, this Gartner report talked to CMOs, chief marketing officers from around the country. And they found out that 61% of marketing departments are starting to pivot and improve their customer-facing digital experience. So how they project themselves on their website, on mobile, etc. 56% of the companies are changing their business to focus on the digital opportunities. And that goes to, how do you sell your product in the digital market right now? How do you go to, if you go to your website, or if you're out and you want to find a new customer, how can you go out and target those new customers? By using digital channels and advertising. And then 45% of all CMOs are completely changing their customer experience in reaction to the pandemic. And so that 45%, they're changing everything that they've been doing, changing the way that they think, changing the way that they operate. This goes back to, as we talked about, the value proposition and the branding and what that means. It takes a lot to do something like that, but to go and look at that that group of people and say 45% across the country are changing the way that they think about how they talk to customers and how they interact with customers because of what the pandemic did. You can see that is a very, it's a lot of people, and it makes people think about what's coming in the future as far as it pertains to digital marketing. So how do we adapt to all these digital marketing changes? I've said a lot. There's lots of things to talk about, as we continue to look at what digital marketing is. We know that there are multiple platforms. We know that there's excessive things that we can track customers using all different data points, Google Analytics, etc. How do you adapt to that as a business? According to that Gartner report that I was talking about, 80% of all marketing channel budgets are going towards that digital space. If you think about how much you spend as far as your company, the percentage of your marketing, what goes to creating new material, what goes to improving your website or going out and doing advertising, 80% of that business and 80% of that budget from those CMOs are now going to change to a completely digital platform. And then, of course, that what they expected from Gartner is that's only going to increase in 2021 and beyond. So thinking about that, it's important to know how we create and improve our overall digital presence. The first one, and obviously I think that one of the easiest ones, is your website. And the website is key because the website is how you now convey your business to everyone in the world, not just locally, but around the country. If you're selling your product to manufacturers or different types of organizations in California, if you're in Kentucky, great. How do you do that? Well, the website is going to be key. And there's a difference, on how different websites operate, whether or not you sell a product or you sell a service or you're a contract manufacturing or you're welding. People are going to be looking for you, and you want to make sure your website is clean and up to date. And what that means is mobile friendly. We'll talk about it here in a minute as well, but mobile friendly websites, a vast majority of people, when they first interact with you as a company or you as a website, is going to be from their phone. I could probably ask everybody in the room, how many people will go and search something on their phone before they go on their computer, and it's probably going to be close to 80% of you. SEO and SEM. I want to make a differentiation between this. So SEO is how your Google and Bing and all of the search crawlers, how they see your website. It's all built into the back end of your website, what words are used on your website. And if somebody searches a certain string of words, say we're searching marketing branding strategies. Okay, if my website says marketing branding strategies, anywhere on that site, Google's going to pull that. That's your SEO. When that SEO is built properly and you have it all organized cleanly, I should say, in the back end of your website, you'll get pulled up higher on the Google list, if you will. So from page 5 to page 3, and hopefully all the way up to page 1. SEM, if you've been on Google and you notice that the first 4 or 5 searches on Google now will have advertisement. Those people, that's not SEO, that's SEM, that's search engine marketing. So people are actually paying to have their name pushed up higher. If that's something that you want to do as a company, you need to make sure you're doing it in the right manner. You make sure you're paying for the right advertising space, and you want to make sure that you are organizing your content to reflect that on Google. And of course, UX. UX is user experience, also known as UX UI, user experience, user interface. What does your website project to a customer? Is your website fast? Is your website easy to read? Is it easy to navigate? If it's not, the potential of a customer to leave your website increases drastically for each one of those boxes that you don't tick. If it's a slow website and it takes a long time to load, obviously people are going to click away from it because, well, I'm waiting for it to load and it's not loading. The next part is social media. Now, you can see in that little picture back there that there are many, many, many social media channels. There's TikTok and Reddit and Pinterest and Facebook and all these different channels. You don't have to be on all of them. What we found is that many companies think that they need to be on every single channel and they need to do everything. You don't have to be. What you need to do is you need to identify which platforms are the most important for you and for your company, and how you can build engagement on those platforms. If you're on Facebook, which I recommend most people should be on Facebook, because you can do all kinds of advertisements and you can do updates about your brand and updates about your company on there. You don't necessarily need to be on Twitter. And you may not need to post things on Twitter about what's going on at your business every single day. But again, it's picking those right platforms and how you engage with your customers through those platforms. And of course, I mentioned it earlier, local. Local is so key right now. Making sure that your Google and your Bing platforms, that you, one, have a business location that has been established on Google or on Bing, is if you want that, if you have if you want people to visit your office or visit your warehouse, if you have that, make sure that people know that the updates have happened. So making sure that your times are available, your website is on your local pages, phone numbers as well. It's important because when we're talking about local, there's been a big shift to going, as I mentioned earlier, to going to these local purveyors, these local suppliers, these local companies, because, well, they can't get things on a national level. Amazon was impacted. If you think about what happened here in Texas, last week, we had a big ice storm and a big snowstorm, and people were trying, Amazon was delayed for, I believe, about a week or so on their shipping. Well, people who couldn't do that need to go out and buy as much local as they possibly can. Still, moving forward, that shift has continued, and it's actually holding in place where you find more and more people wanting to buy from those in their community. And I think you'll continue to see that throughout 2021 and 2022. Video content, targeted ads, sales video. So video has been key. 73% of all advertising is usually done in video now. So if you have some sort of video advertisement that you're wanting to do, make sure that you know who your target market is, and make sure that you know how long you want it to be and the right channels. So if you want to put it on social media, that's great. But know that video content, people want to see what's going on in a business. If you're doing, I was trying to pull a good example, but if you're doing machining and you're trying to drill some holes out of some giant piece of metal, show a video of that. People want to see it. They want to know about the products. They want to know about the machines that you're using. If you can use video in a successful way, then that's going to increase your connection with your customers. And they're going to go, oh, that's really great. I've never seen that product done in that way before, whatever it may be. And that's going to hopefully draw them in and start a new conversation with you. So where do we use digital? Excuse me. Talking like this a lot, your mouth becomes a little drier. You have to take a break for a second. So using digital is in a couple different places. Data-driven marketing is a thing you're going to start hearing a lot more about. I use it in my business. I help AKA and their business, as we started doing a lot of stuff to track these customers coming in from multiple platforms, and how we then use that to send emails out, or how we use that to say, well, we're going to change the way we design a website because of the way that we see the path that people go through when they're clicking on different buttons on our site. And data-driven marketing is going to drive you to use insights like that I just mentioned to get your customers' story and the journey that they're going on and turn that knowledge into an action, as I just mentioned. There are so many platforms that you can use data-driven marketing that are free to use. Platforms like MailChimp. If you have MailChimp or any of the other automatic email campaign platforms, those are things that you can use to track whether or not people open up your emails. And if they do open up your emails, you can click on which part they liked, which part they didn't like. And you can see the journey, the data to understand that customer journey, which will be incredibly important because it can change the way that you market your product and market your business. I said it before. I was a little incorrect. I said 73, I meant 72. 72% of all first searches are on your mobile device. So if your website's not mobile optimized right now, and you're not thinking about making the mobile platform a priority, do so. It's very important, and you're going to see that people are going to get away from. 72% of first searches are on mobile. That's a pretty big number. So think about all of your customers. The first thing you're going to do is open up your website on their mobile device. Cross-channel marketing is the third area. And what I mean by cross-channel marketing, digital is important, and you can start the conversation in different platforms, but you need to make sure that the message that you convey is the same across all your channels. And by all your channels, I mean from your website to your email, to your social media, to the interactions and the face-to-face conversations that you hopefully will end up having. Because of that, you want to make sure that that value, that brand proposition is clear and concise, and you want to make sure that you are telling the same story on different channels. So many times you find customers and businesses that are customers that look at businesses and they'll see one thing on Instagram or one thing on Facebook, and they go to their website and it's a little bit different. It's not quite the same tone, or maybe they want to go and look at a company because it's playful or it's energetic, but they go on the actual website and it's very stuffy and very serious, and kind of go, well, what happened to that playful, post that I saw that drew me to your product that I wanted to buy? So making sure that your message is clear and concise across all your cross-channel marketing, because that's going to be important in the future. And that's also, investing in the tools to help you. There are things like Hootsuite, which will help you post on each one of your individual channels, each one of your social media channels, and you can connect your Hootsuite to your web page. And again, the number of tools, I could probably do a webinar about 3 hours long about the number of marketing and digital automation tools that are out there. And we can talk about it at another time if you would like, but just know that there are so many things that are out in the marketplace right now for you to use to assess your website, to use to market to customers, that if you just do a little bit of searching now, you can at least get a basis for it. Obviously, it takes a lot of planning and a lot of strategy to figure out how you're going to convey that to customers. And so that's something that you should think about in the future as well. Making sure my timing is still all right here, so we're moving right along. So key marketing tasks for everybody in 2021, and I say everybody because I also implement these things as well as best I can. But I think these are important for everybody. So the digital transformation is we're automating, and we automate for better personal use and customer experience. And I say that again. The quick and actionable tips. The first one is make sure that your communication is fast and responsive. And that means that people want to connect with the brands and they want to do it fast. And what I mean by that is, if somebody goes to a website, you'll see a little circle or a little question bubble in the bottom right-hand corner usually. People want to have questions answered pretty quickly. Even if it's not on their website, on social media, they want to have some sort of interaction fast. And usually that's within about 2 hours. People understand that if you send a question to a Facebook page, you can set up an automated comment response that says, hey, we'll get back with you in the next 2 hours. That's the communication that people want to see. That's the communication that they appreciate. And then, of course, if a phone call is made or an email is sent, usually have about a day to return the phone call before people start to shift and go to a different purveyor, different manufacturer, different business for their product. The focus right now should also be on customer retention. And by that, I mean trying to maintain your current customers. It's 60% less in marketing and ad spend to retain your customers than to acquire new customers. That's a huge number. 60% of your overall budget, subtracted from your marketing spend will go towards maintaining those current customers. I know it's not always the easiest thing because you have to build and cultivate those relationships, but if you can maintain that customer retention, that's going to be key for your business in 2021. And then obviously, I think I've said it maybe 20 times, is planning for digital growth. Businesses that don't plan will not take advantage of the shifting customer landscape. That digital growth right there is very important, and knowing and being able to adjust quickly to all the stuff that is digital, it's going to give you the roadmap to help improve those capabilities. And then, of course, if you're integrating this, quote unquote, I have it down there, quote unquote, always on digital marketing activities. This is anytime a customer comes to your website, or whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you're technically always going to be there if you have the correct digital marketing activities set up and the automation set up on each one of your platforms. So, important marketing tasks for 2021 and beyond really is assess your brand. That's the first and most important thing, is know what you stand for, know what your brand is, what's your value proposition, what are the 3 pillars that your business is built on. This is something we work with each one of our clients at AKA when we try to go and talk to them about what their business is and who they are. And if we want to go sell a new product, well, we start off with branding and just who you are and what you stand for and how you differentiate yourself from your competitors. Develop and adjust your value proposition. If you don't have a value proposition, start thinking about one. It's more likely that you'll be adjusting your value proposition for the better part of a year. And what I mean by that is it takes a while to develop if you haven't done it yet. If you're a new business starting out, you need to come down and say, okay, what are the things that I want to do as a business? What are the things that we sell? Why is it important? And how is it going to affect each one of our customers and consumers? Accelerate the digital transformation. And this is, as again, make sure that you're moving along quickly and you're thinking about these things. Sit down with a meeting with your staff or with different members of your organization and say, what can we do to add more digital services to our platform? And that's not necessarily just customer facing, that's also internal facing. If you don't have a good way of communication, if you're only using email to communicate everything with your team, I recommend Slack is one of the best tools, and it's free for any business out there. And I use it for my own business, and we use it for AKA and doing marketing for them as well. And we use Slack to communicate. It's a very simple tool. Look into that. It's something that I would definitely recommend if you're just using email to communicate with your internal team. Improve your content marketing. It opens up a conversation to a lot of different things. It's video, it's social media, it's website. Show people what's going on in your business, and making that personal connection with everyone is going to be great. And of course, if you keep it fresh and helpful and engaging, this could be a how-to video or something along that line. That's something that people are going to really love, and it will draw them to learn more about you and want to connect more with you in the digital space. Know your customer journey. What can you do right now and get ahead of the competition? That customer journey is, do I know how a customer ends up buying one of our products? Do I know how that customer navigates our website? If you know that, that's going to help you market yourself in the future. And then use technologies to improve discovery. Oh, excuse me. So yes, technologies to improve discovery. Those are the search engine optimization tools. That's Facebook, Instagram, and whatever it may be that's going to be most applicable to your business. Find those tools. And then key lessons and things that we've learned in the past year. So COVID, kind of forced us to change everything. And I think people who are adapting online business are doing great. The one-time things that you might have thought are, quote unquote, nice to do's, that'd be great if we updated our website or if we got onto social media. When it comes to the online platforms now, you have to now, as digital channels are the only way to stay in contact with customers during the current time. But moving forward, it's going to be the main way you're going to be communicating with customers, and it will lead to calls and emails and face-to-face conversations potentially. But the starting point is always going to be digital moving forward. So, what are the key lessons that I feel we have learned as a business, as myself as a marketer, just as a society, is don't be afraid to try something new. If you want to get on and create a new video about your product, go give it a shot, try it out, see, look at what other people have done. It's okay to mimic and copy what people have done, but just adjusting it for your own brand. Stay in touch and on top of mind. And that means making sure that you're always communicating and you're always getting in touch with your customers, whether it be by phone and email, etc. The more often that you are on top of mind with your customers, the more likely they're going to keep coming back and doing business with you. Do more business online. That has been one of the key things to say. We really want to drive that business online. We want to drive the interactions online because, again, it helps us build that customer journey. It helps us understand what's going on overall. And then collect and take action on that customer data. If you know that you're trying to sell a certain product or a certain service and it hasn't sold at all, and you haven't seen anybody click on that, or if you haven't seen anybody buy it or inquire about it, maybe there needs to be a change in that. Maybe you need to move things around on your website. Maybe you need to talk about things in conversation with, like, hey, I know you wanted this, but have you thought about X? Whether or not you're selling a product or service, make sure you're always saying, we're going to take this data and this information that we've gathered and we need to adjust it on a regular basis. And this is something that people should look at on a monthly basis when they look into their digital platforms. Build your brand with compelling storytelling. And that means tell a good story. And nobody wants to listen to a story that's pretty bland, like, hey, we do this, and that's great. And you have kind of a mundane and sad approach to how you're marketing your own product. Tell something compelling about your business and how it impacts and what you want to drive for the future. That's going to be something that you'll find more and more companies are doing. And the successful companies are telling these compelling stories about their brand. And then, we always have to say it is prepare for uncertainty, because we just don't know what's going to happen. I think 2020 taught us that. We're learning, we're still adapting, we're still moving forward. But if we prepare for uncertainty and you're ready to move forward in any way, then I think it's important to say, sure, we're ready for the next challenge that could arise. So I will now leave it and open it up for any questions. I know it's a lot of content all at one time to talk about, but any questions that people have? Or Kim, let me ask this, Stacy, were there any questions that were in the chat first, and I can kind of answer those?
I didn't see any questions come up in the chat. There was a lot of information, and you've really got my wheels turning. I know that. So if there aren't any immediate questions, if there are questions that come up, just feel free to email me later or call me. My phone number was on the email that I sent earlier, but this is our open time. If you all have any thoughts or anything that wasn't necessarily addressed that you were looking for, or anything that you need further explained, this would be a good time to bring that
up. I have a quick question. So we're a manufacturer of paper cores and paper tubes.
Okay.
Fairly benign and maybe boring to a lot of people, but it's useful.
Yeah.
Our challenge has been during COVID especially, is to kind of reach out and connect via our website. We run Facebook and also LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Those are our three platforms of choice.
Great.
And we're trying to kind of tell that story. I'm concerned about the message that we're getting across to them. I don't know how to tell the story of a paper tube. It's kind of a commoditized item, and I'm not sure how to get the critical mass to get out there and actually, spread the word. Like, we have a couple of followers on Facebook now and a couple of followers who are basically inside our industry on LinkedIn, but I'm looking to expand that. How do I get that reach out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, it's, telling a story isn't necessarily always about just the product, right? It's a story about how you guys came to be. Why have you been doing this long? Why should people care? And of course, people should care because it's important. I'm sure that, with paper tube rolls, like, just think of toilet paper and the amount of and the impact that we had in the overall business and the toilet paper crisis of the beginning of 2020. Right. How do you tell the story of, who you are? And it takes time to sit down and develop those type of platforms. And maybe it's not just telling the story about your product. It's, hey, let me tell you the story about where we're located. Bill, where are you guys located, by the way?
Northern Kentucky, Crittenden area.
Okay. Yeah. So, just, yeah, hey, we've been here for however many years. We're helping local community, we're keeping jobs open because we're a necessity. We need to keep building, making product for people. And again, that's sort of kind of the easy story to tell right now. And then overall, it's, the brand proposition and the brand storytelling, it does take time. And you sit down and I would say, think of three things that are vital to your business and how you differentiate from your customers. And whether it's the way you manufacture your product or the way that you help out community or the way that you as a business operate, what are those three pillars that you can sit down and think about that will really help you kind of drive a story around that. And I work in three. So if you have those three things, what are three things that feed into that overall message? If you're, again, if it's, we build this product and it's better because of X, okay, it's better because of X, but there are three things underneath it that can drive that product. We have, again, we have green belt, black belt, lean manufacturing or whatever it may be, or, we're ISO, who knows what, those are type of things that if you develop those responses and you develop that kind of story, that will help you at least start to organize your thoughts a little bit better and start to communicate a little bit better. And again, telling the story about your company on LinkedIn is a little bit different than on Facebook. Facebook right. Facebook is going to be more, hey, here's what we're doing out in the community this week, or hey, back when we could all be around, like, here was our company softball game. Like, that's great to see. On LinkedIn, it's more about, here's how our company is helping other companies. Here's how our company is, operating during COVID or whatever it may be. So knowing that each channel is not necessarily, it's not going to be the same message across each channel. If your website's up to date and stuff, that I think that's always the key as well. If you want to make sure that your message is first and foremost on each one of those pages. Okay.
And do you suggest, one more addendum to that? Do you suggest like targeted marketing with ads on Facebook? Does that work?
It really just depends. Each product and each company and each targeted ad is different. I think that if you know who your target market is and know who your buyers are, I just by knowing what your product is, I would say that your Facebook target marketing may not see as much ROI as you would anticipate because you probably already know 95% of who's going to buy your product.
Right. That's correct. Yeah.
I might be wrong. This is just, thinking about like,
you're probably right.
You sell a product to, they may be on Facebook and they would definitely know that they're being targeted with an advertisement, but with Facebook's algorithms, you may not be able to see certain demographics, and they may not say, "Hey, we're a provider. We provide the toilet paper that goes on the toilet paper roll." They may say something completely different. They may not actually be able to track that. So it's kind of a fine market. So it'd be kind of difficult to look at.
Okay, thank you.
Well, something that came to mind with you talking about, why should people care about paper tubes and things like that? You never know what the need is going to be. Look at COVID. When it first started, I was not part of the AKA team, but I worked with, or I was friends with Elizabeth Keenan, who was part of the team. And I watched her going through a database to find potential manufacturers in Kentucky that could switch over to making PPE. So you just never know what the need's going to be. So that's another important part of keeping up with your manufacturing extension partnership. So we know what you're making, and we know if somebody has that need, that we could call you and just say, hey, we know somebody that makes paper tubes. If, somebody in a different state says they need that. So.
Yeah. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Any other questions that people may have right now? It can be about digital marketing. It can be about really services that we provide. And, I went through a whole list of services that AKA provides earlier. If you are somebody who is interested, or if you haven't done business with AKA or haven't talked to us yet, feel free to reach out because, obviously we love to talk to you. I always have 1 hour consultation with people just to get an understanding of their business and how we can potentially help them. I think that's important too. The consultation is free to you. It's for, kind of take my services, and we usually we'll say we come with a team so that we can help you from top to bottom on whatever your business needs may be. AKA is more, I'm sure it's more than just marketing. There's about 80 different services I think that we offer. And I think that's important because throughout all the stuff that we're doing, we can help you in any one of those areas.
And I may look like I'm getting emotional, but I just got something in my eye. I'm getting emotional about the presentation, but
thank you. I appreciate that.
We have just a few more minutes. Does anybody else have any questions?
I'll ask this everybody, and if you don't mind it, have people, how do you feel about your current website and current digital transfer? We'll call it, use the digital transformation comment. Do you feel as though you've started to make the shift to digital, or have you already kind of moved over and are already interactive and already using a lot of these automated services like MailChimp or something along that line? Are people using that right now, or is it things you're still kind of on the fence about?
Just beginning.
Just beginning? Great. Well, that's the first step, so that's always a good thing. Okay. Anyone else? Great. Well, I really appreciate everybody joining. It's, I know there's a lot of content. If you want to go back and watch more, I'm sure that we'll send the link out when it comes back up on YouTube. And I want to just thank you all for taking time out of your lunch period today, or if you're in Central Time, like I am, you're about to go to lunch. I want to thank you for joining us today. I know that there's a lot of content in here and there's a lot of stuff, but if you have questions, feel free to reach out to Stacy or go to the AKA website. You can send us a message on there and we'll definitely get that and respond usually within about a day from that email that you would have sent to us. So that we make sure that we get in touch with you, and whatever your business needs are, we can definitely help you, try to achieve your goals.
Well, I want to thank you, Dustin, so much. You have provided a lot of really interesting information, and you've actually motivated me. So I appreciate that for today. Yes. I'm inspired. And thanks everyone for coming, and keep an eye out for your emails. We have some other exciting webinars coming up, including the supplier sourcing that I was sort of mentioning when Bill was talking about what he produces. Supplier sourcing is a big part of what we do. And so that's our next webinar coming up on March 4th. So just keep an eye out for that. And we do hope to see you all again. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you much.
Thank you. Have a great day.